Therefore, the sages were very much afraid of incurring sinful reactions. The law of karma prohibits a person even to associate with a mischievous individual. By electing Vena to the throne, the saintly sages certainly associated with him. Ultimately, King Vena became so mischievous that the saintly sages actually became afraid of becoming contaminated by his activities. Thus, before taking any action against him, the sages tried to pacify and correct him so that he might turn from his mischief. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Dhetatharine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nirupita Prajapala Sativai Praja Tatapi Shantavaye Mamum Nasham Nashmam Statpadakam Sprishe. We appointed this Vena king of the state in order to give protection to the citizens. But now he has become the enemy of the citizens. Despite all these discrepancies, we should at once try to pacify him. By doing so, we may not be touched by the sinful results caused by him. Hare Krishna. So we are in the context that we are in is where the sages and the citizens, they are highly disturbed by the activities of King Vena. This is a very similar situation that we all are currently facing in our own lives. Srila Prabhupada says, Rajar doshe rajya nashta, ginni doshe grihastha nashta. Says Rajar doshe rajya nashta means if the king is at fault or if the characteristics of the king, the behavior or culture of the king, if it's not good, then Rajya Nashta, the entire country is in trouble. Ginni doshe grihastha nashta. Similarly, if the leading woman in the house, if she is not of a good character, then the entire family life is at stake. One day, one father came to Lord Ramachandra. So, this is after his coronation was done. So, he came and told Lord Ram that there is something seriously wrong in your ruling. There's something that is not correct. There are some adharmic activities going on. So Lord Ram heard the case and said that, how can you say this and on what is the basis of all this? Why are you saying this allegation? I would like to know. So the father said that while I am alive, my son passed away. If everything is happening according to dharma, such a durgatana, such a inauspicious thing cannot happen. He said that whenever there is adharma in the society, all such inauspicious symptoms are seen. What are those inauspicious symptoms? Brahmanas try to misuse their position. Women lose their chastity. People use diplomacy and duplicity as a way of livelihood. All such inauspicious omens like the small children die earlier. We have nature calamities. Srila Prabhupada in one of the purports writes in Srimad Bhagavatam that because of the way we torture the nature respond back by all sorts of calamities with respect to tsunami, earthquakes, and various stuff like that. So this is a reaction to what we are treating Mother Earth. So the whole point is that if the king or the leading lady of the house, if both of them are not of good character, then the dependents are definitely in trouble. So here the sages became very much concerned that King Vena is completely characterless. He is going to be a cause of our concern. When this situation was going on, the very reason why they accepted King Vena, even though they knew that he is going to be irreligious, is because they felt that King Vena carries the semen, carries the blood. He is coming from the lineage of Dhruva Maharaj, and anybody coming in the family line of Dhruva Maharaj will definitely inherit some sukruti or some uh, auspiciousness. But in this case, they were for a disappointment. So the sages, whilst they are responsible for appointing him, they felt they are as well are responsible to fix this situation. So when they are considering about fixing the situation, they are equally considering that in the process of fixing a situation, nothing happens to their own sanctity and their own position. So we have a lot of interesting lessons that we can learn from this current context. We will try to learn few. The first and foremost thing is that we are ready to take responsibility and be accountable for what we have to do. This is Varnashrama Dharma. In Varnashrama Dharma, Brahmanas need not be told that they have to go and guide people. Kshatriyas need not be told that they need to protect. Vaishyas need not be told that they are supposed to work for economic development. And when they are told to do this, they always understand that it is not about me and mine, it is about the society. So when Srila Prabhupada was very much curious about Varnashrama Dharma, Srila Prabhupada was particular in making sure we somewhere or other restore the Varnashrama, because in Varnashrama dharmic life, a society which is embracing Varnashrama Dharma, there is broad-mindedness. The reason Varnashrama Dharma is appreciated because it is centered around Vishnu, it is centered around broad-minded mindset, it is nowhere about I, me and mine. So this invasion of outsiders in this country, invasion of technology in our country, invasion of new ideologies in our lives, disturbs and distort the equation in the society that we once had as a very, very nice culture and exemplary one. So, as a part of our restoring back, as a part of our commitment to our spiritual master and our spiritual lineage, if we appreciate and acknowledge that what we have received from Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas are very divine and unique, it is our responsibility and accountability that we need to help restore. So here the sages, they are showing what it means to be that restoring. Because I am responsible, because I am accountable, it does not mean that I can be reckless, I can be, you know, uh, careless. So, in the process of restoring the situation, the sages are showing a very important principle that first safeguard our consciousness before safeguarding, helping anyone else. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj constantly gives this advice that before we go and tell anyone to take up Krishna consciousness, before we preach anyone to absorb in Krishna consciousness, he says that lock yourself in a room and try to give yourself a message and make yourself Krishna conscious. So here the sages are being concerned that they should not get a simple result because they nominated him, they enthroned him, and very soon you are going to see they are going to dethrone him. Not only dethrone him, they are almost going. They are going to kill him. So the point is that it is a duty of each and every one of us. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has requested, Srila Prabhupada has requested, saying, Yare Deka, Tare Kaha, Krishna Upadesh, whomever and wherever you go, please preach and distribute and win more and more souls to the lotus feet of Krishna. It is definitely going to be our utmost responsibility that we behave in such a manner that we are a devotee first before we go and tell anyone. The biggest challenge, the biggest problem for us to be a devotee today is because the society and the education system and the current practices around us is about how well we are in our presentation rather than how we are. Instead of we trying to be a devotee, we are giving so much importance in looking like a devotee, in behaving like a devotee, in presenting like a devotee. And here we see how the Brahmanas are concerned that whilst King Vena is irreligious, they are concerned that they should not get affected, they should not be touched by sinful reaction, they should not be, uh, suffering. And the similar fear or similar concerns are expressed or exhibited by various other people. Arjuna had the same fear. When Arjuna went to Krishna, even though he had made up his mind, even though he had desired, even though he is longing to not fight, he is very much concerned that he should not take a wrong decision or getting into the path of adharma. So that is, he says, Karpanya dosha pahatasvapaha. He says that, my dear Krishna, please, so far we were friends. So far we were, at the platform of equality. But now I would like to make sure that I don't take part in any amount of adharmic activities. So hence, I would like to please, surrender unto you and please accept me as a disciple. Shishyasteham satimam tvam prapannam. So this is the first and foremost thing in our own lives as preachers, as practitioners, as disciples, as well-wishers of the society is before we try to bring in a change, you be the change. Before we try to preach anyone, we preach ourselves. Before prachar, we need to make sure we practice achar. The achar is something that we try to apply in our lives as much as possible. It is not necessary that we are completely purified before we go out and preach. It is extremely necessary that we keep trying. We may keep slipping, we may keep falling down, we may have our own shortcomings, but we should not stop trying to help ourselves. Keep on finding strategies to help ourselves so that we are good enough to go out and give Krishna consciousness to others. If you look at the history, the Varnashrama system collapsed not because Shudras became very powerful. Family life collapsed not because women were characterless. It is extremely important to note that Varnashrama system collapsed because of Brahmanas misusing their power and position. Grihastha ashram collapsed because the men in the house misused, mishandled, and ill-treated the women in the house. So the problem generally we portray today is because we have Shudra leaders. We portray because we have unchaste women. Unchaste women and Shudra leaders are outcome of an irresponsible behavior of a Brahmana or leader of the society and by the men, the leader of the house. So hence, to restore, the problem to be fixed is not at the lower level. Problem is to be fixed at people at the responsible level. So whoever considers yourself to be leader of the society, leader of a community, we need to look at ourselves and how responsible. And one of the important situations for a leader is every failure the leader is to be blamed because it is under his purview things are happening, and every success the credit is given to the praja. I mean that's a quality of a leader that is expected out of one. So here these brahmanas, at least they are showing some sense of fear and responsibility because they are feeling that this guy turned out to be mischievous, turned out to be useless, and if we continue like this, the society will go at loss. So they are finding themselves in a spot. Prabhupada writes in the last line of the purport, thus, before taking any action against him, the sages tried to pacify and correct him so that he might turn from his mischief. So, as a part of our responsibility and as a part of our helping the situation, we need to adopt strategy in such a way we try to give people enough support and opportunity to correct themselves, if not, be ready to take action. Currently in India, we have elections and new government formation, and the election for that is happening. And many devotees keep speaking about the responsibility of a citizen to vote. So, even though Prabhupada called this democracy as demon crazy because of the way the ideologies, the mindset behind this, but if you look at from another perspective, it is our responsibility to function as a proper citizen to bring in a proper leader because we choose our leader, and if we are conscious, if we are aware, if we are uh, well informed and intelligent enough, we can choose our leaders and try to bring in a change. And that change may happen at a family level, at a preaching Bhakti Vriksha level, at a community level, whichever level the changes are, your changes will be noticed by others when there is a change. So please be the change when you want to bring in a change. So hence, as a part of the first reflection, I would like to share that in our own journey of Krishna consciousness, we need to learn to take responsibility, and we are definitely accountable for our action. In the entire Varnashrama system, it's not only that Brahmanas are supposed to be responsible. Yes, Brahmanas are responsible for various strategic decisions, but everybody in the supply chain or everybody in the system of Varnashrama is definitely accountable according to their own responsibilities that they have been given or they have assumed. The second reflection is about that in our journey of Krishna consciousness, because in the next few verses later, the Brahmanas are going to take up an extreme step in uh, fixing the situation, and eventually the steps that they are going to take is going to, prove useful because King Prithu, who is considered as the Sakti Avesh avatar of the Supreme Lord, is going to appear. So, in the process of trying to create or trying to fix a solution, we need to definitely uh, definitely we need to make sure that we have some sense of understanding of Siddhanta. Srila Prabhupada, in more than one place, he has explained about practitioners of Krishna consciousness and paraphrasing should have independent thoughtfulness. Because this independent thoughtfulness that is needed of a preacher, of a student, of a disciple is to properly apply Krishna consciousness Siddhanta, to apply what they have learned in their own life. I'll explain this, what I was trying to say. In the process of gaining knowledge, we have three ways of gaining knowledge: Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. So, today, we as devotees are not able to make progress sometimes. Today, society is not able to accept Krishna consciousness. Today, we are not spiritual is because instead of adhering to the process of Shabda from a bona fide source, we are adhering to the process of Pratyaksha and Anumana. Even amongst devotees, because of what I said as the first reason, that we don't have responsible and accountable leaders, responsible and accountable, Brahmanas, responsible and accountable Vaishnavas amongst us. So everybody is somewhere or other having a hypocritical, duplicitous, diplomatic behavior. So the whole function and the trust and the dependency on the Shabda Brahman is kind of disturbed. People are stopped respecting or stopped obeying great Vaishnavas because they believe that they are not trustworthy because of some other episode. So, the process of independent thoughtfulness that Srila Prabhupada is expecting is actually meaning using your intelligence, try to follow in the footsteps of a proper bona fide process, Shabda Brahman. But instead, what we are giving importance is about our Pratyakshavad, about our Anumana. If I am not able to see the result in front of my eyes now, if I am not able to see that what I have conceived or what I have thought about or what I have heard about, if it is not seen in front of us now, probably it is not true. That is called Pratyaksha. I see by my inference, I see by my direct seeing. Pratyaksha is I am seeing and believing. If I am not shown, that I don't believe. So today, younger generation, they argue about the existence of God. They argue about the position of Bhagavad Gita. They argue about various aspects of Siddhanta because we give importance to Pratyaksha, to some extent Anumana, but not Shabda. Because for us to believe in Shraddha, we need to have two things. Number one, Shraddha, and number two, we need to be very clear about where the Shabda, where the sound vibration, where the knowledge is flowing from. If the knowledge is flowing from an upper sampradaya, then how much ever Shraddha we may have, we will go in, the whole efforts will go in vain. But if the knowledge is coming from a bona fide sampradaya, then the Shraddha that we put in that process will definitely give us result. So it is that where in the Pratyaksha process, it may apparently appear that things are in our control. In the Pratyaksha process, we may realize that we are experiencing based on our intelligence. But in the Shabda process, or in the process of respecting, obeying, surrendering to the sound vibration and instructions of bona fide acharyas, we may feel that I am trying to take a chance. I am trying to plunge into something which I am not so sure about. And Prabhupada explains this as going in the direction which is opposite to your destination with a very cruise, non-bumpy ride is useless. I am driving in the opposite direction, pretty fast, pretty smooth, pretty comfortable journey. But the destination is not what I want to go. Rather, I would prefer to go in the direction which may be a bumpy ride, which may be slow, which may not be sophisticated and comfortable, but at least I will reach the destination. So this process of Krishna consciousness, this process of devotional journey is such that when we are being independently thoughtful and applying the Siddhanta that we hear in our life, we may apparently be mocked because these Brahmanas, they are going to take steps which may be mocked, which may be questioned by people, because this is the people who are supposed to have taken the right decision, but they think that they made a mistake or they didn't have a choice. And Prabhupada is going to explain why they killed King Vena and how from King Vena they produced Ritu Maharaj. And the purpose of having a king from the lineage of Dhruva Maharaj is still protected at the same time. Just because you came in the lineage of Dhruva Maharaj does not mean that any nonsense of you we can tolerate. So they are killing King Vena as well as giving Ritu Maharaj the chance to rule. And Prabhupada explains that is the responsibility of a Brahmana. So my second reflection here is that for being an independently thoughtful person, for being an independently, responsible and accountable person actually mean that we try to follow the instructions of our acharyas in a very responsible manner and apply them appropriately according to the Shabda Praman, following the footsteps of the previous Vaishnavas. Anukulyena Krishnanu that is the Siddhanta. But our own devotees and the society at large, they don't subscribe to this Shabda because they believe if they have not seen, it is not true. If they have not seen, this is something that is wrong. So it is extremely important that we learn to become an independently thoughtful person. And for being independently thoughtful, what science and technology and what the current education system is teaching to be independently thoughtful is from the process of pratyaksha that won't work. It's from the process of anumana, it won't work. What will work is we learn to surrender, we learn to abide, we learn to subscribe to the process of Shabda from a bona fide source, then we will definitely reach the right destination, even though apparently in the journey we may have challenges. So the second reflection hence is of how we have to be, how we need to be, how we should be independently thoughtful in our journey of Krishna consciousness, and that means having utmost faith in the Shastras. That brings in to the fundamental request that Srila Prabhupada makes, books are the basis. We should read Srila Prabhupada books, and by reading Srila Prabhupada books, by associating with bona fide devotees, we will definitely be able to develop our consciousness in such a way that we are both responsible as well as accountable, and we will be the change. The third and the most important is uh, in the journey of Krishna consciousness, when we are practicing or preaching, one biggest threat Kali Yuga poses us is about we try to be uh, we try to behave like a devotee but not be a devotee. So the reason that is being discussed over here is that King Vena misused, he dushprayog, he kind of misutilized his position and tried to create trouble to everybody. So, and the sages felt that if somebody is misusing that position and power, and we associate with such a person, so we are partying with him. So in that case, we are supporting his views, and we will be responsible for our dharmic activities. So they are considering themselves guilty. So the point I want to say as a third reflection is, in our journey of Krishna consciousness, we should not pave a way for a non-exemplary behavior which will cause a disturbance amongst the future generation. So behavior of an adult, behavior of a responsible person should not, what I used to always say is, what disturbed the Varnashrama Dharma is about the Brahmanas misusing. So similarly, devotees should not misuse their position and power. What I call as Jati Vaishnava. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a very nice book in the in this line about different apasampradayas during Mahaprabhu's existence. When Mahaprabhu was on this planet, there were so many apasampradayas or apasampradayis who posed themselves as followers of Mahaprabhu, but they were deviants of Mahaprabhu. Like caste Goswami, caste Brahmana, so and so. There are close to 6 or 7 sects that, there's a Maharaj by name Subhotra Maharaj. He's no more in ISKCON. He was one of the spiritual masters. He had compiled a book called Apasampradayas. In that book, he has mentioned about all those different categories of deviant sects. So the reflection that I want to bring in here is Brahmana's concern over here is not only about themselves, but also about we should not be considered as a deviant. We should not be considered ourselves as defaulters. So in our own journey of Krishna consciousness, the reason, the point of being responsible and accountable is brought in is because we should not become Jati Brahmanas or Jati Vaishnavas. So ISKCON is today perceived as a religion by outside world. ISKCON is perceived as a way of life by so many people. Srila Prabhupada tried to create ISKCON as a movement so that we can restore Varnashrama. So our walking, talking, dressing, behaving, decisions, everything is perceived as our implementation of philosophy, even though the reality is ISKCON is a hospital where we are all coming and taking treatment. The medicine is pure, depends upon how seriously I consume the medicine, I get cured. But the perception by the outside world, perception by our near and dear ones, perception by our dependents is the way we behave. the way we take decisions and conclusions. So we may misguide or we may guide somebody either way. So the reflection that I want to say here is that we need to safeguard ourselves in such a way that we don't become a jati devotee or a caste devotee. Rather, we try to become a genuine devotee to whatever limit of genuinity that we can bring in. Srila Prabhupada uses this word that every Vaishnava, especially every preacher's life, should be an open book, and every Vaishnava's life should be such that his characteristics are spotless. Nobody is able to point out that this person has, some deviant or hypocritical behavior that may collapse the Shraddha somebody may have to practice Krishna consciousness. So these three sets of points are kind of interconnected, and they are they are if you put them together, they are going to help us shape us as a better devotees. Number one, we discussed about how we are supposed to be responsible and accountable. Number two, we said how we are supposed to be independently thoughtful. And number three, how we are supposed to be taking care of ourselves, not to become a Jati Vaishnava or a caste Vaishnava, in the sense that we dress like a Vaishnava, we talk like a Vaishnava, but we are not Vaishnava within ourselves. So these three put together will will form important uh, uh, it will form a very important decision that each and every one of us need to take in terms of our existence, in terms of our decisions, in terms of our interactions with the society at large. So today King Vena is questioned. So Prabhupada is definitely encouraging all of us to uh, to be responsible enough, where Prabhupada is encouraging all of us to be independently thoughtful enough. So Prabhupada is making sure, warning us that we are not supposed to misuse our position, and from that perspective, it is our utmost duty to be a devotee, to bring in a new devotee. So for being a devotee, the basics are important. Sadhana, seva, sangha, sadachar. So if these basics are in place, and these basics are regularly, consistently, taken care, then we can be the change. Otherwise, we will be part of the problem, but not part of the solution. So it is our utmost indebtedness that we need to show to the parampara that at least we don't be part of the problem, if not be part of the solution. And for that, at least let us do the basics correct. And as we move along in this Prithu Maharaj's episode, there are many more wonderful lessons that are definitely uh, taught by Srila Prabhupada, and we learn to apply them in our daily lives. So to summarize, we had discussed today about the life of King Vena being not so appreciative, and he has become a nuisance to the society, and hence the Brahmanas were concerned, and as a part of their concern, they were concerned about the society, they were concerned about themselves, and going forward, they're going to fix the situation. So to this context, we discussed, number one, we need to learn to be responsible and accountable. Number two, we need to be independently thoughtful by subscribing to Shabda and not just Anumana and Pratyaksha. And third is, we do not be a caste Vaishnava just to pose ourselves as a Vaishnava, but not be one from within. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Any questions or comments? From Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter. Fireball. Anybody has any questions or comments?
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I think I just want to confirm that I heard you properly when you were encouraging us to become independent thinkers. By independent, you meant um, that we should base our direction in life on Shastra rather than Pratyasha and Anuman alone. Was that, did I get that right or no?
I was not saying independent. I was saying independently thoughtful, which means it means to be subscribing our ideologies on Shabda, not our Pratyaksha and Anumana. Because
Yeah.
the way of receiving knowledge by Pratyaksha and Anumana are faulty because of the reasons that we all would have heard. So Shabda from a bona fide source, and when Prabhupada says hearing from a bona fide source and being independently thoughtful. The reason independently thoughtful is not having blind faith. Because my guru said it is correct, because my leader said it is correct. No. You question, you introspect, you analyze, you assimilate, apply, and try to hear from a bona fide source, not just experience. The reason the independently thoughtful process is important is sometimes it is a lengthy process and a time consuming process. Because when you hear from a bona fide source, when you try to apply, the results may not be seen immediately. Sometimes it may be directly proportionate to how much seriousness we show, how much commitment that we have, how much we have properly understood. So various factors are involved. So sometimes people started to doubt, oh, maybe I got trapped into this process. So many people left Prabhupada. So many people left ISKCON. So many people left this Krishna consciousness because it did not work on them. So why it didn't work on them? It is because of something that they did not do correctly. It is nothing to do with the process. It is nothing to do with the context. It is nothing to do with anything. So, but if we prematurely conclude like that, then we fall into the wrong trap. So Kali's one of the agenda is to somehow or other make you fail in all these things, and our Acharya's agenda is to again and again and again come and give you instructions and opportunities so that we can become independently thoughtful and make a right choice. Because today the society is running towards my choice, and by being independently thoughtful, following the footsteps of Acharya, trying to understand this process takes longer time, we will be definitely making progress towards our destination, even though it may be rocky.
I think the word independently, the independently part of the independently thoughtful term is throwing me off a little bit because this word independently implies that it, just by itself, the term seems to imply that you're relying on your own, speculative thinking rather than depending, on Shastra. So to depend on Shastra doesn't sound independent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you people may fear on that, but the interpretation of independently thoughtful is not independent of Shastra. The independently thought Arjuna was independently thoughtful. Parikshit Maharaj was independently thoughtful. They were not blind. When you read the first shloka of Nectar of Instruction purport, Sukadeva Goswami is posing a question. He was explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about the hellish planets. And you know what Parikshit Maharaj saying? My dear Gurudev, what you just said that did not make sense to me. How come these hellish planets are meant for atonement? What happens after this atonement period is over? We will come back to the same mistakes. We will do the same mistakes. So how is it the solution? Sukadeva Goswami says, I appreciate your thoughtfulness because I was actually testing you if you are understanding and accepting the philosophy as it is supposed to be. I fully agree that these hellish life, hellish planets is not the solution. The real solution is that one's consciousness and propensity need to be changed. That can change only by whatever Sankirtan and Harinam, whatever processes, Bhakti Yoga process. So, independent Arjuna asked Krishna, my dear Krishna, you are saying so many things. How can I believe you? That Krishna has to show a universal form. So Arjuna asking question to Krishna is not out of disrespect. It is out of him being independently thoughtful. So this word independently thoughtful should not be interpreted as the word independence is not the independence that we refer in our regular context. Independently thoughtful is I am not influenced by sentiments. I am not influenced by fear. I am not influenced by popularity. I am not influenced by fame. I am not influenced by intelligence. I am influenced only by what is needed for me to reach my destination, which is to go back home, back to Godhead.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, like I said, I think it's the word independently. So normally I would have understood if you had said just um, thoughtful, just try to be thoughtful, like you said before, not blind following, but you know, here with the intention of trying to understand properly, you know.
Yes.
But anyway, it's clear now what you mean.
Yeah, I will read a very interesting letter from Srila Prabhupada to Karandara. This is Bombay for 22nd December 1972. It's a long letter, but I'll just read only one portion of it. Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness movement is for training men to be independently thoughtful and competent in all types of departments of knowledge and action, not for making bureaucracy. So, basically what we are, heading up is somewhere or other our younger generation, because of not being thoughtful, because of them being surrendered to the technology and the attractions of so-called social media and entertainment, their independently thoughtful nature is getting lost, and we are becoming victim of these stuffs. So, which is carrying us away from Krishna. Anyway,
Well,
thank you.
yes, yeah, thank you very much for the clarification.
Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Koti to your every time appreciation, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, I don't know whether I have to ask this question or not, but one new Vaishnava that who is Brahmananda. So can you please little bit guide us?
Sorry, Mataji, I didn't understand your question. Can you be a bit louder, please?
Yes, one in Srila Prabhupada, as per Srila Prabhupada, new Vaishnava family, one Vaishnava asked the question, who is Brahmananda? So that how can I explain them? I just avoiding from last 1 week, but now he asks in a group.
Okay, so please read Nectar of Devotion, the first chapter, under the category of the 6 characteristics of um, devotional service. Okay, basically the word Brahmananda is generally connected in the regular context with. First, let me explain what's Brahmananda. Then I'll also try to see what response we can give to the new person. Basically, there are 3 levels of Brahman, God realization: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Prabhupada writes that the relationship with Bhagavan and the process of devotional service is such that you can read in the Nectar of Devotion where Prabhupada writes, it can, even if you have 1,000 times, million times, you know, uh, get the Brahmananda. And what is the Brahmananda is, when somebody is Brahman realized, there is some amount of happiness he gets because he elevates himself from bodily consciousness, the consciousness of the soul, or consciousness of the Supreme Lord, and the first level of realizing Supreme Lord is Brahman. And what is Brahman realization level means? Na sochati, na kankshati, no lamentation and no hankering. So Brahmananda is a state where a person realizes about the Supreme Lord, but only realizes to him as Brahman, not yet realized him as Paramatma and Bhagavan. And according to Bhagavad Gita, anybody who is Brahmabhuta Prasannatma, Krishna is calling as Prasanna Atma, means very clear-headed guy or self-realized guy. He says, Na sochati na kankshati. That person will not have hankering, will not have lamentation. So in this material world, anybody who does not have hankering, does not have lamentation, he is happy, and that happiness can be called Brahmananda. And Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion, but this process of devotional service is so sublime that if somebody takes up Krishna consciousness nicely, his happiness will be many, many, many more times than Brahmananda. So that way he is encouraging us, don't limit yourself to the realization of Brahman. You please elevate your consciousness to the level of Bhagavan. That is the simple explanation that I can give of what Brahmananda is. And any sense, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for wonderful explanation from Nectar of Instruction like this one. Prabhuji, my question is that that Vaishnava is asking from Ludhiana that Brahmananda Swami, why Brahmananda Swami is fall down? So I want to ask this. I trust me, Prabhuji, I know little bit only. I don't know much.
Oh, yeah, he's asking about Brahmananda Maharaj, a proper disciple?
Yeah, why he fall down and what is his position?
Okay.
Please forgive me, but I really don't know.
Right, so neither I want to get into the details of that. I thought you were asking about Brahmananda as a concept because Prabhupada writes about this in the Nectar of Devotion.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much.
I do not know if this is the right forum, number one. Number two is whenever this topic about fall down comes in, we need to very clearly remember, leave aside the episode, leave aside the details of individuals because everybody has got their own reasons of why they are deviated. One thing you remember that fall down happens 9 out of 10 times it is because of an aparad. If you have committed a Vaishnava aparad, I think one of the times we have discussed in this forum about the entire algorithm of fall down in Krishna consciousness, where it begins and where it takes us to. And second thing is a fall down happens because of some carelessness. So there are something called as accidental fall down, which Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita. Second is called as willful or fall down happened because of not giving attention to the details of seriousness in Krishna consciousness. So in case of various Prabhupada disciples and most of us, this happened because we were overconfident. We were not so much giving importance to the position and power of our Acharya's words, and also because of familiarity. So if anybody asks about anybody's fall down, it will be either because of aparad or because of complacency and overconfidence in the process of Krishna consciousness that they did not give importance to some aspect of devotional life. If you analyze different devotees' lifestyle and episode, you may have different reasons, but underlying is this. Leave aside the personal episode, what happened, because of whom he fought with, what had happened, why he was left, whatever that is. So those are all details which are not so relevant or maybe not relevant to this context unless it's extremely important to clarify the details of the episode. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you so much for engaging us in this service. Looking forward to speak to you all next week. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class today. And we really look forward to having your association again in future.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Panchakalparupyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and Sri Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki jai.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.